everybody. Thank you for being here on tonight. Welcome to Artist Hotspot 321. We're live on Facebook. I have some of the capital and some of the biggest musicians around the world right here on this stage. We're gonna talk some things. We got Andrew Boucher, we got Javon Brown, we got Eric Bryce, we got V. Michael McKay, Edward Clark, and you can't get any better than this. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good
Yeah.
evening, man.
Good evening.
How's everybody?
Good.
Doing good.
Good, 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 good. Give me a little commentary if you would, Brother Boucher. Let me know that we still with me.
Boucher, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, there we go. Mike, you in? You straight?
I think he's trying to figure it out.
Okay, he's still trying to figure it out. We're going to go ahead and get started. I have a few questions that I want to get to today. Get to the purpose of this whole occasion. Just to bring light to where music, has been, and also where it is now, and where it's headed. Somebody has got background going on.
Oh, that's me. Sorry. Wait. What's it? All right. There you
go. Okay. Thank you. So that's what the show is about, and I thank everybody that's watching right now on Facebook and our other media platforms. Thank you for watching. But I have a few questions that we're going to hit, and everybody can join in when you can. Where is music today, and not the industry, but music? Can you answer from your feelings on that?
Will you ask me?
Yes, sir.
Where is music today?
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's a very broad question. But I think that music, it depends on where you are, where music is, I think in a place of where I am, I'm having the opportunity to play the kind of music that I love to play. So that's a very broad question to ask, man. Ask Eric Bryce. He's way deeper than me. So
Eric.
Hey man, I don't know. I just play what they play. It's definitely easier. The chord structures are a lot easier. It's more campfire-ish. If I am talking about CCM. I haven't heard any new choir records lately, so I can't speak on that kind of stuff right now. But it's all right. Just getting along with the babies, getting along with the new ones coming up. It's the name of the game is just to touch and agree and be as one. It's easy.
Javon.
In my opinion, I think the groove is gone. The soul of it is gone. It's not gone, but it's like nobody's using it, tapping into it. Things are so much faster now, as opposed to when I was growing up, especially listening to you and Bryce and Boucher on records and stuff. Back then, I had to listen to records and tape recorders to learn music, and to even if I was listening to Stevie or whatever, we had to go and get it. Now everything is just handed to you on a silver platter via YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. So it kind of takes the like the appreciation for learning music now is gone, to me, in my opinion. Everything is so easy now. The CCM to kind of water down everything, and that's just in gospel. It's 1, 3, 5, and then back to 6, and then back to 1. You don't have to think anymore with music now, which to me, I like to think. I like to be creative, and it is kind of missing something, in my opinion.
Ed, what do you think?
I think and I'm gonna piggyback on what Boucher said. It's all about where you are, and
um, and what just where you are in that. But I do agree that I love the groove of any music, and to me it's gone. But I guess you just gotta find that that for me, I go record shopping or whatever, and it it's just to me, it's just I agree with Gucci, just where you are, and it's just gotta. I wouldn't say it's lost, but some way somehow we just gotta um come come with the the time. I don't I don't want to I don't but that's where I'm at.
That kind of does the musicians of today have it easier than say me, Gooch, Eric Bryce from our day? Do they have it easier today?
Well, musicians, period, have it easier, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because they have so much information available to them instantly. And back in our day, when we wanted to learn something, we had to take the needle on the record and put it back. Keep doing that. There's a positive and a negative to everything. Like you look at YouTube, and the testament to that, what I just said is how young these kids are and phenomenal musicians. And so from that standpoint, I think it's great, but the level of respect and appreciation for the craft has diminished because there's no paying dues anymore. Paying dues doesn't exist. You be 13 years old and get a gig, so you ain't went through nothing. And when you go through stuff, that makes you appreciate where you are, and people will see you. And I get this a lot of times. I get people asking me for basses all the time, and I'm like, they're like, man, you got all them bases, but they don't know nothing about when I was coming up and my lights was off and my gas was off and my rent 3 months behind. They don't, because that's not the part that gets advertised. What everybody sees is your accolades and like everybody, when somebody getting ready to get on a plane, go somewhere, they post, or whatever their gig is, and that's fine. But I think that the respect overall for the craft is not the same because it comes too easy. But then we're dealing with a society of fragile people. You can't say nothing about nobody. They're gonna try to cancel you and all that sort of kind of stuff, man. Where it wasn't like that when we came up. But at the same time, I have great admiration for the skill level with some of these kids. It blows my mind, man. And it also keeps me inspired too, because I'm like, okay, you can still go to you can still learn and go to another level. That's the way I look at
it. Okay, same question, Eric. Or are you still working? Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
I've been cutting my mic off. My wife is behind me having a full conversation with the rest of the world. Yeah, I agree with what Andrew said. But it's not just, if I would say, it's not just gospel music. That's just the world's thing, And me and Gooch's lives parallel in the fact that I think he's got 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and man, I got a 19-year-old, and just how he thinks, man, bothers me, they're on a different page, Joey. They are young people are totally on a different page. What was important to us is not as important to them. They don't care if they ever own anything. A lot of them, they don't like to pay dues, and they don't want to pay dues, and they want it right now. It is a microwave society.
Yeah, you want it easy.
Yeah. I've never seen. I've dealt with some. I'm up here in Denver, great state, great city, but I've dealt with some guys up here that it seems like the younger musicians feel like that the world owes them something.
They're entitled. Yeah.
An entitlement of, okay, I'm here. I'm gonna show up when I get ready. Is that happening any place else? Is anybody else dealing with that?
I have two musicians just like Bryce, and yeah, I have two musicians, 18 and 13. The 13-year-old thinks that since he can chop better than some of the older cats, feel like he should get $200 a gig. I'm like, dude, you're 13. Yeah, you cold, but you 13. What have you done? What do you know? Do you know how to even balance a budget yet? You know, I mean, it's like, man, it's a sense of entitlement. It is very much so, and that's because we live in a society where it's all about your followers, how many followers you have. If you could get 10,000 followers on IG, you popular. You get the blue check. You know, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for that blue check, and that's how gigs are coming. If they see you on if they see you on IG or YouTube or Facebook or TikTok, you got a gig. You know, that's your audition nowadays, which is not how I came up, but you know.
But by the same token, you think about how it was for us as opposed to how it was for our parents. You know, I always say, for a long time, I said, I'll never become that old dude that's condescending and talking down to the younger generation. And I haven't. I don't do that. But I understand now where the elders were coming from when I was
Right.
you know, and everything changes, man. Just like the music your mama liked, we didn't like that, you know. So I gravitate to quality. So if it's something quality, then I like it. But am I necessary? I thank God for YouTube, because all the stuff I grew up on, all the Hawkins, the Winans, Andre, James Cleveland, all that stuff is on YouTube, and I can sit up all night and listen to the music I love. But it's just this thing. It evolves like everything else does, you know. And remember in college when they couldn't dunk, you know, and now you got 5'2" dudes jumping 12 feet in the air, you know. And it's just, it evolves, and it's when you, especially when you get older, it's easy to become cynical and judgmental on these kids. And so I get it, even though I really try hard to never do that, you know. But I get it.
I just got something on the side that says, could it be that today's music is stepping stone for a new sound to come? The amount of work that we have put into the music we grew up with has worth. This new generation has a wealth of information at their fingertips, just click away. But is there new foreseeable music coming is a question. Anybody?
I think Michael McKay should say something. We haven't heard from him yet.
He's driving. I don't know if he can.
Oh.
Can you talk, Mike? I can't hear you though.
Your sound was on for a minute, and then it went away.
You still there?
Can't hear you. We can't hear you, Doc.
Can't hear you, Mike.
He might have to go through settings on his phone.
Yeah, he's driving. I don't want him to have an accident.
Yeah.
Okay, well let's move on. Let me ask y'all this. You there? Still can't hear you. Still can't hear you. So I'm going to move on to the next question. Is the respect for the church with this generation that's going on now, is it the same?
No.
Ed, let me hear from you.
It's no and yes question. I mean, so.
Oh.
Okay, Ed froze. Boy, I'll tell you. Give me an answer, Eric. You still there?
Yeah. Church music. Is that what was that the question?
Yeah. Do the musicians have respect like we did in the church for the church back in our day? Is the respect level the same?
We're in a. I can't say. I think they like it. I think they really do. But a lot of dynamics that was embryonic in our lives have fully grown. And some of those dynamics are kind of wrapped in sin. And because they're wrapped in sin, these now those what were baby things are now really really big things, and they're laying heavily more on the church than anything, and that affects the music and how we do it.
Mm-hmm. Go Ed, go ahead and give your answer.
I feel it's sometimes it's different. Far as how we dressed, like we came to church, you know, in suits and played, and these kids today coming in jeans and tennis shoes,
Sagging.
every Sunday. So I guess it's just a different time.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say, you know, the lack of respect, but I for me, I say for us,
Oh wow, boy! I tell you, this is new technology. I hope this ain't Russia doing this.
Putin is hacking the stream.
I think.
So listen, but
right
let me
now
ask
we're
y'all
gonna
this:
put this on Russia. This is not my.
is
Hey, Jody, I would say that it's that the world just doesn't reverence the church like they used to, you know, and it's period. It's not even how the musicians. Now, I mean, it's not just the musicians. It's just how people come to church. Used to reverence being in the house of God.
Absolutely.
You know?
Right.
And that is not there anymore, you know. And I'm not gonna put fault anywhere, but it's a lot of different reasons why. And people just don't reverence the church. It used to be like, and I'm getting ready to go into the house of God, and it felt like the house of God. It didn't feel like I was going to Staples Center to see a concert, you know, with all these fancy lights and screens and all that kind of stuff, man. Inevitably, the focus shifted. It shifted from coming into the presence of God to coming into a performance, you know? And that's what it feels like, you know, these churches with all this high tech. And I love technology. Don't nobody love it more than me. But that started being a focus, man, you know, and then, you know, I'm gonna stop because there's so much stuff I want to say.
Well, go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead.
Can't do it, huh?
Yeah.
They got us trained, Gooch.
Yeah.
We won't talk. We're not
like train what Wallace.
trained, but
Like train Doberman's got.
You know, them old people like, I don't want no trouble. I don't want no trouble.
yeah, they got us
No, but how
trained.
about this? Ask Javon and Ed what happened when they came at Greatest Saints.
When I came to church, and growing up under Joey, it was different because first of all, we from New Orleans, so you know when Reverend Paul Morton brought him down, it was like Detroit swag meets New Orleans culture, and the way he came in dressed to the nines and professional, on time, maybe an hour 30, about 45 minutes before to an hour, coming on time. Decorum was straight. When his brother Philip came, the choir had decorum. Is everything was on point. It was a reverence to it back then. You know, and that was churches all across the board, not just where we grew up, but it was just all over the country. You know, where you reverence the house of the Lord. You came dressed like put on your Sunday's best. You know, and I guess it was the silk stocking church era back in the day is what they called it, or at least I learned that term when I moved to Houston. But that's what it was. You came, you put on your Sunday's best. You came to the house of the Lord. You know, you had I remember when the musicians wore robes, which thank God we don't do that no more. But because but back then, like or even looking at Reverend Clay Evans when they came, to visit and they brought their whole musicians. That's from Chicago. That's a whole different dynamic, where those musicians they played to the glory of God, pretty much. And just like we all grew up under that, we learned to reverence the house of the Lord. This is the Lord's house. This is how we worship. These are the Lord's songs that we're gonna sing. And that's what it is what it was. Everything was kind of Christocentric back then. Now now the music and the everything else is kind of egocentric. It's like, okay, what I'm wearing, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come lax or whatever. And like Gooch said, um, it's on how no, it's like nobody has reverence for the house of the Lord anymore. It's just different. We're in the come as you are state of church right now. How you feel is how you come. You know, if I feel like sagging and smoking weed, right before the gig or right before church, because now church is like a gig now. Like I just had a pastor call me yesterday, complain about his drummer and his bass player coming to church smelling like weed.
Wow.
That's how we doing it today. That's what's going on. So
that's kind of scary because that tells me the standard and the thought pattern has changed from when we were growing up. I mean, it's just certain reverence that we have. But let me ask you, so that explains my next question. That's why the pastors don't respect the musicians anymore. What happened? Is everybody still there?
We see you.
Okay.
I see you.
I see you.
Okay, good. Is that why now the pastors aren't respecting musicians as much as they used to?
Absolutely.
You're shooting an arrow towards accountability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you're shooting an arrow towards accountability. We don't tell them to go home. We don't tell them to sit down. We don't tell them to unplug, and we don't need you here.
Right.
Because you really think you need them there.
That's where I'm coming from. It's not like it's a situation to where it's like, okay, I'm here now. Everybody praise me because I walked in here and I'm one of the best in the city. I mean, they'll tell you we throw people. I look at them sometimes on the instruments, and if a chord was wrong, they knew it because of my face. But now,
boy.
I mean, but now they're working. Like they're working. I don't think either one of them has ever even worked a job, 9 to 5 in their life because of what they took in our era. So I'm wondering what happened with the era after them. Because of course I want to get a solution to it. I just don't want this to be a situation where we're just running our mouth. What happened? Is it our fault that they didn't get the respect that they should have gained like we did?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
Well, answer it.
It could be my fault because I wasn't the leadership. I was on the leadership desk. It wasn't on my desk.
Well, yeah. That could be an issue. I think that question could go about at least 20 different ways. I'm thinking. It depends, and I'll just take my experience. With my experience, I kind of had a war, I guess, with myself on even how to navigate with leadership, and it also depends on what leadership you're under as well. Because they have some musicians, like I worked for a pastor, he didn't have respect for no musicians. He just thought that music was a hobby and you just should do it for the Lord, and that's what you do. And he treated us as such, And then I've had leadership to where, well, let me just talk about that one. That could put a bitter taste in your mouth on, what am I doing this for? And then I've had leadership where they appreciate you and do everything to keep you because you treat them right, you know, and that kind of is just on where you are. I think it depends on who you're under, what leadership you're following, and where you are. I think that depends a lot on that. And for me, for the younger generation that was coming behind me, some of them listened, and some of them was like, "Man, you don't know what you're talking about." You know, it also depends on if they feel like if you haven't reached a certain level of success in your career, even though you're still making money, but if you don't have the certain fame that follows what you're doing, then they don't listen to you anyway. And I'm talking about the younger generation. So it just depends. Some of them listen, some of them don't. You know.
Let me ask you something. The writing today, the songs that we're doing today, are they comparable to what we were doing back in the day? The way that we were writing, do they have substance, or do you just feel like it's a bunch of groove with some singing on top of it? Coach,
Go ahead, Andrew.
Now look, I know I might lose some friends, but I still love y'all.
You know what? There's good and bad. There's been good and bad in every single generation.
Right.
I find, as a whole, I found in the last few years that I don't really want to hear the type of stuff that people are listening to now. But then right when I get to that point where I've lost my faith in musical humanity, there'll come a song that I'll just happen to hear that I absolutely love. So people are still writing quality songs. Quality is not the majority now. The majority is trying to find something hip that people can latch onto and groove to. But when you really listen to the lyrical content of it, it ain't saying nothing, you know? And but I still think there's some artists that I really, really like. Like I'm talking about this generation artists, like Jason Nelson, I love. It's a few of them. I'm not gonna start naming everybody, you know. And then my old favorites who are still around, like Fred, you know. But I think that there was a time, like back in the day, you go to a gospel concert and everybody was incredible. And first of all, do you even see gospel concerts anymore? You know, it's like, there used to be a time, okay, we getting ready to go see the Winans, the Hawkins, Andre, and James Cleveland all on the same show, you know. But those days don't exist anymore. But there are still people making wonderful, wonderful music. I'll leave it right there.
Eric?
Yeah, I agree. There's still people making and I could test with me and Javon, like we would call each other just to trade music.
It
froze again.
Yeah, he froze again. He'll come back, but it's really different these days. For me, as being a writer and musician, yes, the music is easier and you know it's good and everything like that. But to get a message is different. To get something out of the song, that was another reason why we released "We All for Christ" again, is because I'm feeling a lack of message. I'm feeling, not saying that it's not good. I'm not saying that it's not good. It's just I don't see as many people running to the altar crying like I saw before. From just a music ministry. Now, like I think someone said, it's almost like a show I saw on the side. It's like you're coming. Or Gooch said it's like a show that they're coming to every Sunday and not a service. Okay, Ed, go ahead, finish what you were saying.
Yeah, well, I was about to say what you. It's just the message of it kind of changed, but there's still great music out here today. I love, but as far as gospel, it's nothing like those old gospel songs. Like we offer the words of it. We offer Christ to you, oh my brother. We offer Christ to you, oh my. That's a great song, and I think that's what is changed today. But they still have great artists making great music, but it's nothing like that old, especially gospel. There's nothing like those old gospel stuff.
Do the younger musicians even pay attention to hymns these days?
No, indeed.
No.
They'll tell me in a minute, man. That's old, man. We don't. You have musicians now that don't even know Amazing Grace.
Man,
Let alone.
Where is this?
I live in Houston, Texas. Houston, Texas. You'd be surprised.
Some churches really don't do hymns like that anymore.
Yeah,
So,
especially I was looking at a live here in Houston, a church I'm not even gonna name. The lady started singing, "There's a sweet, sweet spirit in this place," and the keyboard player was lost. Like he couldn't even find it. He was like back in the day when I didn't know a song or a hymn, I would just listen to how the singer is singing it to where I was like, okay, well, she's going here, or she's going there, or he or whoever. Man, he didn't even try. She just sang that whole thing a cappella. I'm like, wow, these kids really don't know hymns anymore.
Yeah, and I bet you at the end of it, there was nobody who walked up to him saying, like, bro, what was that?
No.
Well,
No.
We don't do it. Man, what was that?
No.
And that sounds harsh and hard. That's what kept me tight.
But see, that gets back to what I said about how this generation is so delicate and thin-skinned, and you can't say anything, you know, without being vilified, you know. And that's a lot of people nowadays. They're just like, I'm not saying nothing, you know, because no matter how you say it, they're not going to receive it. They're not going to receive it the way you meant it. You know, they'll take it as disrespect. And so, you know, it's just like, I ain't saying nothing, you know, and which is sad, but that's how it is.
That's amazing. Cause when the guys up under us from PJ on down and to Ed and all these guys, they're required to know hymns. There was no question about it. And I think that's where that generation of requirement to be a certain, to learn certain things. Because I've dealt with some guys, they get there and they're listening to the songs on the way to church or on the verse, and there's no element behind anything they're doing. And I can tell the difference when someone has studied a song and when somebody listens to the song. That's two different things. Completely two different things. Ed will tell you there's been times that I've told people to get up off of the instrument. There was no element in what they were doing.
Yeah, you told me a couple of times.
We were on our way somewhere. Which takes me to another question. Why is it that with this generation, the bigger the stage, that's where I'm going? Regardless of where I'm at, I'm going to leave where I'm at that's been faithful to me, but I'm going over there because it's a bigger stage. Does a bigger stage make you or your gift make you? Ed?
It's definitely the gift. I mean, the bigger stage doesn't make you play. It's just people at the bigger stage. You still have to practice. You still have to practice your craft constantly. I've seen some musicians that's at a smaller church are phenomenal. So it's definitely the gift.
Gooch, what you think?
What was the question again?
Is it the gift or is it a priority?
Once again, the whole landscape has changed for everything. You know, there's you can get famous playing at these big churches. You know, I had to tell a dude, but I had to tell him. I said, man, let me tell you something, bro. You church famous. On Monday, don't nobody know who you are. So
Jesus Christ.
These mega churches and stages, and it's sad to say, it's built this thing in people, man, where you watch them, you watch their ego grow. The egos grow with the size of the stage and the size of the audience, you know, and so yeah, I'm gonna stop again.
No, don't stop. This is what we were trying to do. We're trying to bring it out. So go ahead.
But I really want to speak more positively about things. So
no, but see, the only way that a solution can come is if everything is brought to the forefront.
yeah,
If something is said. Because the reason why I'm saying this is because I get so many pastors that call me and be like, man, if I could just get a musician that's stable. A musician that's stable. Yeah, man, he might be here, and I got to stand at the front door and watch and see if he's going to show up. That's not how we were raised. I mean, we had to work.
But see, that gets back to what Eric said. You have to get to that point to we be like, I don't need you. You know, you're not gonna be here. I don't need you. And see, they've got this sense of security that lets them know I'm still gonna get paid. I'm still, because they can't do it without me. But at the end of the day, years ago, I was doing a play, and a keyboard player who's actually very well known now.
Who though?
No, I ain't saying no name, but the day of opening night, his brother had been in his ear telling him, man, you the only keyboard player, man. You could get more money, bro. He said, tell him if they don't pay you more, you ain't gonna do the show. And he came to me with that. I was a musical director of the play. And I said, let me tell you something, bro. I will play chords on the bass before I ever let a Negro do that to me. And I sent that dude home the next day, you know, but you have to be willing to, okay, might your whole situation suffer for a minute? Maybe, but you have to, at some point, take a stand, man, because, and at the end of the day, there's too many people that really want to play, you know, that's waiting in the wings and waiting for their chance. And I just got to the point where I wasn't ever gonna deal with those kind of people. It's like, I'm never gonna deal with anybody that's making me feel like they're doing me a favor because they're there, you know? And so you have to be like, okay, well then you not gonna be here on time, then don't come. Don't come. But we don't do that no more, you know?
I'll never forget a time, I think as a matter of fact, happy heavenly birthday, Michael Robinson. His birthday was, I think, on yesterday. But I think one time he came to a funeral late.
Yep.
And
I remember.
Stopped the service and made Mike come down and apologize to the family for being 5 minutes late. Because
in a basketball shorts.
and with basketball shorts on. But that's how we were raised, with accountability.
Yeah.
On what we were supposed to do and where we were supposed to be at on time. I mean, getting there at the service starts at 9, getting there at 9, you're late.
Yeah, definitely late.
Because I guarantee you wouldn't do that on a mega stage.
Right.
Mm-mm.
You wouldn't do that on a secular stage. And that's where my problem comes in. Is why is it that you put the church here, but because the secular world is going to take you here, so you're going to be all in there. But when it comes to the church, I'm good. I can get there when I feel like it. Why is that it?
Because money. You get more money at the money is the reason. And popularity of you playing for this big artist, and we put the church on the back burner. To me, that's the reason.
Wow. We put the very person that gave us the gift on the back burner.
We do.
Money could be one facet of it. I think I think money could be one area, but the other thing would be is that they just want the name, they want the clout, they clout chasers, some of them. You know, and it even happens in the church world where, well, not so much now as it did back then, but you know, hey, I'm going to this bigger church. Uh, there's one church that's got 200 members. They paying me, but this other church, man, they're gonna pay me more, and they got 1,500 members. You know, so it happens there just like it happens. You know, leaving the church going to the secular world. It's you know, money answers all things, but all money ain't good money. So, but yeah, I think money could be one thing of it, and then some of it to me is just they're just trying to make a name for themselves. You know, the cloud chasing, which to me it's too easy to make a name for yourself nowadays because of Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. You can make a name for yourself just on Facebook nowadays. Like I see these Jacob Collier, I seen him on IG. That's how I knew who he was. It wasn't that he was playing a big stage. I seen him on IG killing. And that made me be like, man, let me Google this dude. Let me see who he is. Or Dirty Loops. I found him out on IG. You know, or you know these Justin Schultz. I you know I found him out on IG. So it's too easy to make a name for yourself without the church. Just being who you are. You know, you could do a dumb video and get famous quick. You know, like the Glue Girl. She got famous. You got a multi-million-dollar contract just putting Gorilla Glue in her hair. So it's easy to make a name quick for yourself. You know, like the Glue Girl. She got famous. Got a multi-million-dollar contract just putting glue in her hair.
So solution, because we got to start wrapping it up. I'm almost in an hour. Solution, Gooch, give me something on a solution. If there can be a solution, what would you, if you were able to tell this generation something, what would you say?
Well, what I always tell people, and I do clinics, and you know, because a lot of people ask me questions like, well, what do I need to do to be successful in the music industry? And I tell them that you have to do everything. You know, you have to be prepared. You have to have good equipment. You have to know the music. You have to get along with your coworkers. You have to just respect the artist. It's everything. And they'd be like, well, do I need to read? Yeah. Do I need to play by ear? Yeah. You need to do all that because this is an industry of you never know. You never know who's watching you. I can't count the gigs that I got because somebody saw me and I didn't know that they saw me, you know? And you always have to be conscious of how you present yourself to people because you never know who's watching you and who can be influenced by their interaction with you, you know? So I think that there's inevitably there is hope is not lost. It's not gone, man, you know. And there's some really good people, you know, who just happen to be really, really talented. But it's just like the world we live in is good and bad everywhere. And the church is no different. It's scoundrels in church, man. Been in church their whole life, you know. So my advice is always be conscious of how you present yourself because you never know who's watching you.
Thank you for that, Eric.
Yeah, I agree with Gooch in that regard. And then I think this is, and thank you for this dialogue. I think this is a bigger conversation. Thank you. You know, 2 years ago, all of us was in the same place, even with Stevie Wonder. Wasn't nobody working. Everything stopped. God he made everybody go outside.
Right.
And everything that we're talking about meant nothing. So now we're in a good space I say it meant nothing in the realm of we wasn't going to church no way. So whether or not you came smelling like weed, whether or not you came not knowing the music, whether you was 10 minutes late, none of that mattered because nobody was there, which was a frightening thing. To me, I don't know about you guys, but I think that at this time, the whole of it all has a wonderful opportunity, and like Gucci said, and staying positive, we have a wonderful opportunity to all grow ourselves. You know what I mean? And maybe the next dialogue will be between us and the younger guys, or it be us and the most respected leaders, the pastors that need to know that these dynamics exist, and that a lot of it is based on protocol. The protocol to make money, the protocol to do this, protocol how we do that. You know, but it's church. It's just not the musician. It's just church in general,
Mm.
and it's affecting the music. It has affected the music. Everybody want Israel Hope.
Mm.
Or William Murphy.
It's the eyebrow for me.
Israel Hope.
Right.
What you say, Ed?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. I missed my thing going out. So what was the question again?
We're just closing out. What's the solution?
The solution is, I guess, we have to keep doing what we're doing to show the young musicians, hey, it church still matters, accountability still matters. Um, just keep doing what you're doing. That everything that we do to get the gig, we have to stay. Like, learn your music. Um, just I just we have to just do what we have to do, and just keep on doing it. That's what I say.
Gotcha. What you say? What you say, Javon?
I agree with Ed, Bryce, and Goucher. I think I really believe accountability is so much important. Um, Building character building is definitely important as well. Um, like like Andrew Goucher said, he said that we're always being constantly watched. You know, you have to know what you're doing in these streets, and you know, if you're doing something that you ain't got no business doing, keep it low key. But other than that, accountability is everything. Accountability, character, actually respect, for the craft, has to be built up, I think. Um, and like Ed said, just keep doing what we're doing to be a living vessel and a living example as to how to show the younger cats this is what you're supposed to be doing. The ones that want to listen anyway. You know, um, yeah, you have to have accountability, character, respect, um, and just us still being an example.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Who having everybody's here's my take on what I see today. Respect level is there, and also the accountability is bad, but it's not to the point to where it's not repairable. It is repairable with instruction. I think that a lot of the guys they're pulling at straws. It's almost like the daddy not being home and the daddy wasn't there. So a lot of the instructions and a lot of it they didn't listen to because everybody knows everything because I listen to and I practice. But experience brings on a lot of prime example. When I first I got fired at Greater St. Stephen's and Paul Morton sat me down for a while, so of course I had to work, and I got on the road with Blackstreet, traveling with Blackstreet, and I had all of my suits and everything packed, and I was ready to go on stage, and we did sound check, and I had on my jeans and all this other kind of stuff, and then when it came time to go on stage, I went in the back and I got dressed like I was getting ready to go to church. And Bernard Bell looked at me. He said, "Where you going?" I said, I'm going to the stage. He was like, "No, you're not. Go put your Timbs back on." So I'm wondering, is it a lack of us teaching them what they needed to know? Is it our fault?
Not
Or
totally.
who said that?
Me. Not totally.
Go ahead, finish.
It's I think that's a loaded question. It's not totally our fault. It's our fault, and then again, it's not. Because sometimes even the leadership gets lax. You know, they'll let some things go that other pastors wouldn't. You know, so they're gonna. It's all depends on who you playing for and who's the leadership at that point, because they have some leadership. Like there's another church here that I played for, where we had to come in suited and booted. There was no exceptions. They wanted suit and tie all the time, or you don't work here. And then I played for another church where, man, you can come in some jeans and Timbs and you good. And they got the streaming lights and it's like a club. So it just depends. It just depends on the leadership. But as far as us, you know, as musicians, we have to, you know, like Paul said, you know, when you're in Rome, you do as the Romans. So sometimes we're always in that situation where we have to adapt. Like you just said, at Greater St. Stephen, you was in suits, but with Blackstreet, you had to put on some Timbs and some jeans. So it just depends on where you are, and who's holding you accountable. It's the leadership.
Last question, and this is to everybody. Does the music that we're doing today, does it count? Is it making a difference for the next generation? Give me something on that, Eric. I can't hear you.
You might.
You muted.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it does count. It does count, and it's the next step. The word declares that all things work together for the good of them. All things work together. We'll see. I don't know what it's going to lead up to, but we'll see.
Gooch, what do you think?
I feel like the whole world has been simplified and dummied down, you know, to where, like, I don't remember which one of you guys were talking about. I think it was Javon talking about the chords were different than, you know, I don't remember who it was, but just there were chord changes and you had to learn it. Now it's just the number thing and 1, 6, 4, 5 or whatever it is. I flunk math, so I'm not good with the numbers, but it's just a different. Where's it gonna go? I don't know. My attitude is I have to try to let my work be of the highest quality because that's my standard, you know, and hopefully my standard will rub off on somebody, you know. And I think if enough of us keep our standards and don't conform, like I go in playing like I'm playing. It's funny, I'm in Vegas now. I've been playing at 2 churches, and I play these songs that they all play, but I try to just elevate the level of what we're doing. And I think all of us, everybody sitting here, has the capacity and is in a place to do that, rather than conform to make them come up to your level, man. You know, and I think because there is a thirst for quality, great music. And I was thinking about that movie, Field of Dreams, where he kept hearing that voice that said, if you build it, they'll come, you know? And there's a lot of people that really are looking for that and appreciate it when they hear it, you know? So once again, I think that there's still hope, you know, but we have to do everything we can to ensure that we're doing our best to take it to another level, you know, regardless of what the chord changes are or any of that, you know.
Well, let me ask you, while we're still on here, I got a couple more minutes. Let me ask you this. I mean, is it overcorded? Are we jumbling up music today? Is it sometimes you got to break here, break there? Is there any consistency at all, Javon? Because I know you do it all.
Well, I came up when that era was first starting, where we was put breaks in songs, even in hymns. Now it's to a whole nother level, to where it's just on a whole nother level, and it sounds great. But sometimes I think the music sometimes overcompensates for the lack of what the message of the song is most of the time. If you got too many, like I was telling a friend of mine, if you have too many breaks in chords and songs, that means the song ain't saying nothing.
Wow.
That's that. If you have too much, it ain't like a Ty Tribbett song where, and I use him for an example because the breaks go with the message, because he has a message in his songs, in every song he's ever written. Absolutely. And it's like, oh man, that's a nice break, and that set up whatever they were saying in the song. Versus if you got a CCM song and it's repetitious, like there's power in the name of Jesus, you saying that about 4 times, and then you got there's power. I'm like, come on, man. Like that was too much for that 4-word phrase, or 5 words or whatever it is. So sometimes the music overcompensates for the message. It ain't like it was.
That's because people like Ty Tribbett are so great at what they do. I went to one of his concerts when he was in LA, and he blew me away. I knew who he was, but I never experienced him in a concert. And I got convicted being in that concert. And what happens is, Thad was playing, and was a little boy played drums. I can't remember.
Spanky.
Yeah, it was incredible, but it was incredible all the way across the board. So people see that kind of stuff. And then, I say this too, we live in a world of emulators, and there are very few innovators. And the innovators are the ones that set that standard and set the bar. And a lot of times they start out with criticism from people because people don't understand it. But then once it has success, then here come all the emulators trying to do carbon copies of it, but they don't have what the innovator had. So that's when you get all these songs with Mary Had a Little Lamb, but it's got like 80,000 changes in a different key before the first verse starts. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Save that for your album. Y'all remember that?
Oh yeah,
good, man. Save that for your
album. Yeah, man. Right.
Save that for your project. All 20 of them. Huh?
Yeah, that on your record.
Man, it's been great. I'm sure a lot of information. We're gonna have to continue this, and we're gonna go and try to put something else together. We can do this in person now that the world is opening up, because I think this whole dialogue is needed, but it's needed more in a broad sense to really see and to make sure that we're headed on the path that we need to be going to. So I really, really, really appreciate all you guys taking out your time and coming on here. We had a couple more they were trying to get in. Jeffrey LaValle apologizes. He was trying to get in and couldn't get in. But we really appreciate you all for being here, and you guys are some of the best that I've ever worked with. Proud of you, Ed, out there on the road. Matter of fact, he's leaving on tomorrow to go hit the road with PJ tomorrow. They're on the road doing their thing. So everybody's working. I love you guys. Appreciate you. Thank you, everyone that's been watching. We've stayed above 100 people watching since we've got on here. And so there's a lot of people that want to know and see what's going on. So we will do this another time and another day. Thank y'all so much, and everybody be blessed and stay safe.
Thank you, man. God bless y'all. It was great.
God bless.
Yeah, man.
Bless you.
Love y'all, man.
Love y'all.
Love you. Peace.
Good night.